Where's your truck at? I thought you were, getting ready to drive around. You just did all the suspension.
Man, why do you got to bring that up? Let me tell you, that air conditioning unit on the top of that thing?
Yeah, the cool one?
Yeah. Well, it rusted everything out. I mean, it rotted the whole thing out. I'm going to need to replace...
the rust from the lines?
Yes. So I'm going to have to replace a ton of stuff on there. And I don't even know what else is in there. I mean, it could be the whole side of the truck could be gone.
Oh.
It looks like I'm going to be doing a lot more rust repair than I thought I was.
I'm also going to be doing some metal work, but it's going to be a little bit more focused on the wheels. We're working with Hot Rods by Boyd to do a custom set of their billet wheels. So we're going to be chunking out some aluminum while you'll be cutting out some steel. So you need a hand with any of the rust repair work? Or?
You know what? I think I convinced Jordan to give me a hand because he's now actually, the student is now better than the sensei. So
the student has become the master.
I think I need to say, Jordan, please make it right. I'm totally Ricky Bobby right now. I don't know what to do with my hands. So on a C-10, the common areas where you're going to find rust are all the low-lying areas where water's allowed to collect. In this case, on this truck especially, the wiper cowl, the cab corners, and obviously the rocker are wasted on this passenger side. So what exactly is rust? I mean, let's go back to our 10th grade science class where we learned that if you have water mixing with oxygen, it oxidizes the iron that's inside steel. That creates rust. All right, so we definitely were able to identify that we had rust here in the passenger side cab corner just by, well, looking at it. This one too is a full-blown cancerous hole that is not going to be repairable. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to cut that out. Now, what we did to do that is, like I showed you before, this is the full piece that we got from Brothers, this one being the driver's side. But what we did for the passenger side is we've already trimmed down part of the section that we're going to be able to replace, and we probably will even trim this one down a little bit more because we don't need this whole surface area to be replaced just to fix this hole. Using the cab corner that we picked up over at Brothers Truck Parts, Jordan started trimming down the replacement cab corner until he was happy to where it fit to the cab.
Oh, yeah, that's a lot better.
Oh Lord, I see what brings me here. It's a mother to all my wanderings. The valley's green will age with me. Its dirt will shine and linger.
A pair of digital calipers allows Jordan to match the cab's profile of where the patch panel needs to be welded in place. After drilling for Cleco fasteners to hold the patch panel into place, he'll mark around the patch and then remove it and begin cutting out the rotted cab corner.
Oh, mothers, I see you all the fruits of our love.
It revealed that the AC unit wasn't very kind to this truck at all. As a matter of fact, the inner rocker was toast.
Yeah, fish around really.
We'll walk and work this earth. As the night falls, I'll see you home. As the night falls,
Well, at least the patch panel fits good, but it looks like there's more rust than we bargained for.
So while the chopping block chassis on our Squarebody is getting powder coated and Cerakoted, Marcel is cutting out all the rust that happened thanks to that lovely air conditioner. We're going to be cutting some metal of a different kind with aluminum wheels. Right now we're over at Hot Rods by Boyd, and the Boyd name, the Coddington name, is kind of synonymous with the billet wheel industry because Boyd Coddington, Little John Butera were kind of the first guys to start doing custom wheels out of aluminum, and Boyd turned it into a mass market production. That way custom wheels can kind of be available to everybody.
So the process for us manufacturing a two-piece forged or billet wheel, however you want to call it, Starts out by you basically placing the order. We get a lot of information from the customer, the brake information, what it's going on, because a lot of our wheels we machine to order, meaning we machine the back pads to just clear spindles, to clear brakes, to get you the right offset. That's all factored in. It goes the machining process. We machine majority of all our forged and billet wheels out of rotary forgings, which is a blank disc, if you will. That's preformed, and then we turn it into our specific profile for those designs, and then it goes into a CNC mill. My focus is on custom wheels, made-to-order wheels. We make them right here in Southern California. So I cater to a bunch of different markets. We do a lot of lower truck stuff. We do a lot of hot rod stuff, muscle car, pro touring stuff, you name it. We even do a lot of Porsche wheels, a lot of import stuff. So we kind of cater to somebody that wants something a little different, but I had a concept in mind that my wife had just bought a brand new 2016 Explorer. And I said, hey, look, I'm gonna be putting wheels on it. I really didn't involve her too much in it, but I went and I designed these wheels, the LN11, to be more of a full face wheel with little windows around it. Her name's Ellen, by the way. That's why I came up with the LN. I named it after my wife, but she hates the wheel, so. When I surprised her with the vehicle, with the wheels on the vehicle, she picked it up and she called me crying, saying she hated it. She wished that I put something on there like everybody else would do. Well, after some explaining, I told her I'm not in the business. That's not the business I'm in. I personally liked it, she didn't like it, so now she has stock wheels back on her Explorer. So, but these wheels, I think, need to find the right vehicle. Not every design that I like, is you're going to put it on a certain vehicle and it's going to be the right match.
And it's kind of modeled a little bit after what the factory truck rally wheel is. It's a full face wheel with windows cut throughout the edges. That way it kind of mimics the style that we had in the 70s, but it's obviously going to be a billet wheel, custom back spacing, tungsten Cerakote, and a polished lip. So that will kind of have the more modern style that we're going for on this vehicle.
And with any machining work, precision is key. Measurements are checked for not only the pad, but the hub center bore.
I think for the Squarebody that these are going on, they're going to be pretty awesome. It's going to totally dial in, and it's going to be 22-inch. It's going to be the tungsten with polished lip, and I think with just the way that wheel looks, I think we finally found the vehicle.
All right, here's the deal. There's more damage to the truck than we really thought of. I mean, last night we kind of worked through the night and we thought that we were going to get a lot done, but come to find out, it was a disaster. So I'm kind of letting Jordan run the show here because he's the expert. So, dude, what should we do?
Yeah, we ended up finding some more rust behind the sill, behind the rocker, so we're going to finish pulling the rocker off all the way, and then we're going to start cutting back the sill area, replacing that, patching it up.
To get to that, should we pull the door off first?
Yeah, first we'll pull off the door, we'll pin it, and then we'll start taking the rocker off.
By drilling a pilot hole in both door hinges, this will allow us to remove and replace the door back to the same adjustments over and over again. and as soon as the last piece of the outer rocker was cut off, it revealed the smoking gun. That stupid AC unit on the roof caused the A-pillar and the inner rocker to rust out as well. As this nightmare continued, Jordan finally found a good spot to cut off the old rusted A-pillar. It's a good thing that Brothers Truck Parts stocks the lower patch panel to fix this A-pillar, because by the looks of it, we're definitely going to need it. After the area around the outer support rail was removed, we prepped the area with a Scotch-Brite and then shot in some of 3M's Cavity Wax Plus spray to prevent any future rust damage. After we took a break, it was back to fitting the inner rocker patch first. Jordan did an amazing job by first tack welding the patch panel to the factory floor. Then, using a TIG machine, he welded the patch in solid before grinding the weld seam down with a series of 60 grit and 80 grit roll-lock wheels. That was followed up by using 80 grit gold abrasive DA paper, leaving the area looking like nothing had ever happened. I'd like to interrupt this segment with a public announcement. Rust never sleeps, and 3M's Cavity Wax Plus coats those hard-to-reach areas where rust can form and destroy your classic vehicle. Now, back to the program.
Roll it.
Need you to do some stunts.
Roll it in.
I'm coming in hot like a turtle. Oh. Oh. Oh, how's that?
I can tell the drill is struggling. Shitty cut. Would not recommend that.
Using some of 3M's Weld Through 2 primer will allow us to protect the exposed metal while allowing the welding wire to penetrate through the factory steel through that fresh coat of primer that we just laid down. We use 3M's paint and rust stripper brush to remove just the paint, leaving a clean and bare area to weld to. Here's a great look at what the repaired areas looked like after Jordan worked his magic. Woo, that boy is good.
With the majority of the rust work finished on Marcel C-10, we're taking the polished centers over to be coated. Rather than doing paint or powder coating, we're using Cerakote.
We polished all the little windows around it, and then it goes to our painter. We've been using the same guy for 8 years for all our Cerakote applications.
Cerakote has been very popular in the gun world thanks to its thin application coating and its proven durability.
Soil and the dust are trailing behind my boots. Blown by the wind, showed me a piece of my past.
Tungsten Cerakote is applied with several light coatings, and once it has fully air dried, it is masked off, exposing the polished windows that will be hit with a satin clear. With the backside of the center of the wheel being coated as well, there'll be no need to polish, and the finish will last for years to come.
The smell of the dust is sticking onto my clothes. Burns my throat, sent shivers down my spine.
That's why we like the Cerakote so much, because it's just a really good product. And not only that, but it's super durable, which is part of the reason we use it, because it holds up to the assembly process, holds up to the welding process.
No big surprise here, but the passenger door was wasted too. So another parts run out to Brothers allowed us to pick up a new set of door hinges and also another door. I like to aug out the holes in the hinges before installing them to the new door, which allows for more horizontal adjustment to the door and the opening in the cab. It'll move in or out, and that'll adjust the door in or out away from the cab. Just snug these. I don't want to tighten them down too tight because I still want the door to move if I need it to. Obviously, stir sticks are usually the proper thickness that we want to get for running the gap around the door. Use the stir stick to help align the door gap while tightening down the hinge bolts until they're snug.
Now that the centers are back over at Hot Rods by Boyd, it's time to assemble the wheels. The spun aluminum hoops are heated up so that the center can be dropped in at the proper back spacing and secured in place before it goes off to welding. One of the benefits of doing two-piece custom billet wheels is being able to run any kind of back spacing that you want. Our chopping block setup in the front has narrowed the track width 2.5 inches on either side, so we'll be going with a 5-inch back space on the front. Now on the rear of the truck, we have a few more options. We could easily narrow the rear end, run wider wheels and tires, and get a huge amount of lift.
Wheel going? Yeah. What number? What's your number?
Lucky number 3. We'll be able to run 22 by 10-inch wheels in the back on a decent sized tire and not have to narrow the rear end. We'll be accomplishing this by running a 5.5-inch back space.
So if there's any little movement in the wheel, we'll write pad on there, which means we're gonna check it again after we weld it. And then even if it's a little bit out laterally, we'll put it on the lathe and we will shave and notch the pad to true up the wheel.
We wrestled around with the door adjustment for a while until the 3 sides of the door fit pretty good, but the gap between the back of the door and the front of the B-pillar was too wide. Our answer to this issue was to add a piece of 3/16 solid steel rod that, when welded in place, will help fill the large gap while leaving a nice and consistent edge. I told Jordan that if he could pull this trick off, he'll earn himself one of the churros of his choice from Don Churros. Obviously this metal rod here is a lot thicker And also after it being welded, it's a lot harder than the door skin. So I'm gonna use this tape as kind of like a temperature gauge, really. About 3/4 of an inch off the weld seam and just run it down the door. So I'm gonna start off using a coarse wheel here, this 60 grit. That'll knock down the bigger stuff. And then I'll go back with this 80 grit wheel and I'll tune everything in. All right, so you can already tell that a lot of the big stuff's being knocked down and it's coming out real nice. But again, too, I want to go about this pretty slow. I don't want to bring any heat into the door if necessary. So this area right here is where I'm going to have to be careful at, just in case if I warp the door skin, especially so close to the door handle. Finally, I'll probably run a block over it, and we'll run the DA over it just to make sure everything looks real nice and pretty, and we should be ready to rock and roll. Right now, I've worked this area pretty well right here. I'm going to check it real quick with this metal straight edge, and everything's looking pretty good all the way up.
Final assembly on these billet wheels is simply welding the centers into the hoops. As Chris mentioned, the Cerakote coating will hold up to this process with no issues.
On these wheels, it'll just go through final detail. We'll detail the lips and put a cap on it, put it in a box, and it'll be on its way.
Okay, go ahead and open up the door real quick. All right, all the way. Okay, now go ahead and close the door slowly. Slow. Okay, perfect. Now is the door all the way closed?
Yeah, I mean, you're on the rubber right now, so I mean, it's pretty much where you'd be at when it's all, done and installed. And
perfect.
So.
And I want to make sure the door gap is pretty decent, because I mean, they're decent. They're not like new cars. I mean, these trucks didn't really ever fit perfectly.
No.
So,
but it already looks, way better than before.
And I think this is the most important thing to do when you're doing a paint job, is you want everything to line up first before you really start getting into the major body work. Because if you can get it to fit in metal, then you'll definitely be able to tune everything up when you put filler on it.
Yeah. So is that your next step? Get it all gapped, dialed in, and then start, doing the body work and.
Put a coat of primer over that, and then we'll start just using the other body filler to tune everything up, but it's getting really close.
After seeing all the rust repair work that you've done, originally I was going to try to save the bed, but I don't think that's going to be worth it, so I think we're just going to put a new bed on it.
You're going to have to raise the bed floor anyway, so.
Well, yeah, I mean, luckily Chop and Block has a kit to raise the bed floor, that way we can, accommodate the chassis and the notch and all that.
Right.
But get the cab on the frame, and start putting the bed together on that and have a full roller.
So can you give me a hand on the hood before you take off?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
All right. We got to take all these tools off first.